Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have an interesting conversation and I have a guest who has joined me. His name is Caleb. He's going to be sharing more about himself. So Caleb loves music and he has an amazing voice. He has a beautiful voice. But behind that beautiful voice and the smile that is always on his face, there's a story behind that smile. And today we're going to hear him. He's going to be telling his story. But before we dive into that, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Caleb, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm happy to have you.
I am happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
Caleb, would you just tell us who you are?
Well, I am Wesigwa Caleb. Yes, and I love music.
Yes.
Like you said, I'm a student as well. Yes, but just a brief background about me. I was born in a family of five. Five. At least I grew up with a family of 5 children. Yes, with my mother and my father. So I am the third. I am the only boy.
Oh.
From my mother, yes. But with my father, we are 3 boys. Yes, it's just that when we grew, we were not staying with them because they were grown. Yeah. So I grew up as the only boy among 4 girls.
So that means, Caleb, you actually didn't wash clothes.
No, not with my mom.
Oh.
Yeah, with my mom, you had to wash the clothes.
Oh.
I never got to do anything that people say, if you're the only boy among the girls, you have those privileges. I never had them. No, I think we were all equal. We were
That's
all
good.
equal. Yeah, and I think
It has
it was
a good
good.
side.
Yeah, it sure does.
So, Caleb, how was your childhood? Would you like to share with us?
Oh yeah, definitely. Now my childhood was good. It was fun. Also what I hadn't told you yet is that my dad, by the time I started understanding, my dad was a pastor already. Yeah, my mother as well, as a pastor's wife. So life was filled with going to church and going to Christian schools as a child. It was a fun thing, and our mother pushed it so much. She never, I remember going to check on some schools, and she would really, if she sees anything that is away from what her standards were, you would leave that very day, actually. As a child, life was good. I went to good schools, not extravagant schools, but they were good because they were Christian schools. So there's a lot of people that I could identify with. Yes. So I moved through primary school like that until when I got to secondary school. And that's when life started becoming hard. Oh yeah, it just took a turn that I never expected. Yes, but yeah, that's how my childhood was. So the change came from when I stepped into high school. Yes, and that was particularly because of my father. Yes.
So what is it that made life different when you joined high school?
Yeah. So when I joined high school, I just remember that my father's, maybe me and my father's relationship was not the best. It changed. Anyway, it's now that I have grown that I realized even then it was not very serious when I was younger. It was not like, my son, best friend thing. I think he just minded his business then. And yeah, though when I got to high school now, to secondary school, is when he started becoming so concerned about things about me that I don't know where it came from, but it just was not in a very nice way. I remember when I was in primary 7 VAC.
Yes.
Is when he asked me, we were home, and the results had returned and they were not bad. So they were not bad,
Okay,
really.
okay.
Yeah, I got a first grade.
Okay.
But so we were trying to have a conversation, and he asks me, "So, what do you do at school?" And I remember I told him, "I sing." Yes, and I guess that was the first moment that I saw this attitude coming through. He told me, "You sing? Like you don't play football? You do nothing else?" I'm like, "Yeah, I sing." He's like the devil. For me, that I didn't take it.
He said the devil?
Yes, he said like the
he
devil.
sings like the devil.
Yes, like
you
the
sing
devil.
like the devil.
Yes, like the devil. He told. Yeah, he tried to explain it. He's like, the devil is sing in heaven, so that's what you do. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't take it seriously in that moment. I only thought about it much later. But it's just that now I have grown and I'm trying to look back at the events and see what led to what. Yes. So later on anyway, after that P7 back, I get into senior one and I think senior one I was just having fun. The fact that I just joined high school.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah, but then senior two is when now I started really paying attention and thinking that something is wrong with me and my dad. He started complaining about things that were really small. But one of them that stood out the most was the greeting. For me, that greeting changed my life somehow. Even to this day, I don't know, I'll get better, I guess. But I remember he wanted so much to be greeted. He used to complain home and say, or in Uganda, omuntu atambuza batampa kitiibwa. If you don't greet me, that means you don't respect me. He wanted to be greeted like almost all the time. But even when my sisters did not, he wanted me to do it. Now, at that moment, I was not doing it because of my sisters. It just so happened that you wake up and he's not home. And he comes back in the afternoon. And he's like, "Did you greet me in the morning?" And you're thinking, did I have to wake up? In the morning, I didn't even know the time that you left. So that one brought a lot of chaos. And again, I think because as an adolescent, I also had that negative reaction. I don't know, that's what I think. Because the more he told me, "I want you to greet me," the more I made sure that in the situations when he wants to be greeted, I am not around.
Not around. You just disappear.
Yeah, I just disappear. The times that he used to return, at some point he used to return home and we all just go to the bedroom. Yes.
So what are those things that your father did that caused you to stay away?
Yeah.
Because usually when daddy comes home, the children come. So when daddy comes home and the children scatter, there is something happening. So according to you, what are those things that...
like I just told you, one of them was the complaining about the greeting. And then he was very quarrelsome about the smallest of things, about the oil in the food, the cooking oil. Why is it not enough? Now that will become a very big topic to irritate the home for very many minutes, for like 30 minutes, and that's the topic. If the salt is not enough in his food, I mean, it was a lot of things, and for us those are the things that made us push off. I remember when we were younger, he used to return home and we all ran and fight for who is going to remove his shoes.
Yes, and the bag.
And his stockings and the bag. Because he used to just return home and sit in the living room and put his feet on a table, and then we are all fighting, and it is me removing today. But then around that time, like when I had just joined high school, because I joined high school in 2014. Yes. So still around that time, that is when we started also pushing back for it was not even just me, even my sisters, but now for me, I think I just took it on another level because I felt like I was treated differently. So he used to quarrel about very minor things. He used to complain a lot. So that really made us push back, that whenever he came home, we sat. I remember, but I think for even younger children, it's minor things. Yeah, sometimes he returns home and just finds you watching, and he picks the remote and he turns to something else, and then these people are all looking at him like, eh. And yet sometimes even what we were watching, our mother recommended, you know. So really, there are just small things he used to do that for us in that moment meant everything, you know. So we just could not stand it. But eventually, in like 2015, we returned. No, he came for us from school, and our mom was not home. Yes, our mom was not home. And I remember he told us she left you guys, you know, she ran off with another man. But that holiday, when she was not around, kind of moved very fast. It was hard, but it moved very fast until we went back to school. Now, when we were at school is when we learned that it was a lie. That's when we got the whole
story.
Yes, because my mom had gone to one of our big sisters' place, and she was there, and she was sick. She was sick from the time she had left. She talked to my sister. So that's when my sister, my big sister, the one I follow, told me and told the rest of us, and realized it was a big lie. Now that was also something that pushed us even further.
No.
You know, so
something had happened between them.
yes, something had happened between them, and yeah, that's why she ran off. She ran off in the night. Yes, and so she told us everything because she got back home. She got back home when we were still in school. When we had gone back to school after the holiday, our mom got home. Yeah, so we found her there, and she told us everything that had happened. So then, after that time is when our dad stopped really being home. Yeah, he used to come and be around for a week, and then the next week he's not around. And then, so now for me, that is when he got intense. Yeah, so in senior 2, when I was in senior 2, that was 2015, that was the first time my dad told me to stay home and work and work for my fees. Yeah, and my sisters went to school. Now, it just really felt so bad in that moment because we went to the same school. You know, if you go to different schools, you might think about it and be like,
I think maybe the other school was expensive.
Yes. So, but we went to the same school, and I was thinking, what is it? So, anyway, I stayed home. I remember I used to work. He used to wake me up like at 4 with a big shout. Yeah, Caleb, Zukuka, wake up. Some days my mom would come and wake me up earlier. It's like, I don't want this person to shout for us. Kusawa 10 kumacha.
Saa 10 ez'okumakya?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
10 kumacha, 10 when he has forgotten. Yes, but again, if he has forgotten, that does not mean you should forget.
Would he wake your sisters up?
No, my sisters were at school.
Oh, okay. You're now the only one.
Yeah, I was home to work for the fees. Yeah, and he would tell me, do not leave the garden. We had a very big garden. And he would tell me, do not leave the garden until I return. And he goes and he returns like at 5 in the evening. I worked so hard for about 2 to 3 weeks. And my mom told me, tell this man you need to go back to school. Mulemereko omugambe, I want to go back to school. I cannot be home. So yeah, I told him, and he just told me on a Sunday, I was like, let's go to school. And we went to school with nothing. Nothing. He gave me nothing. No requirements. Nothing. Like I just went the way that I was. That was senior two.
First term.
First term. Yes. So senior two moved on like that. I did not want to come back home. Now I had realized something about me and this man just will not work. You know? So I never wanted to go back home. He used to come to school to visit sometimes. I don't know, maybe to pay fees sometimes. And he would just complain about everything. And I remember in senior two, we had vocational studies. Yes, we used to do both academics and vocational. And he asked me, what do you want to do? And I told him I wanted to do plumbing. It was not nice. Yeah, he wanted me to do another thing. I explained, the teachers explained. It's like, you know, things like that. But anyway, I did what I had wanted. I loved it. Yeah, so I studied it. Now, senior two ends in the senior two holiday. This is when now it just worsened. Now, of course, there was the working now because I was home with my sisters. And when my sisters were around, it was not so intense, but still, they would also ask me, they would actually advise me in the morning.
So you can dodge him.
Or sometimes they tell you, Caleb, daddy uli aja. Yangu ogenda omubuuze. I thought that's something that every child
when they see those things.
Exactly. So there was this particular day when we were from the garden. He had not been around in the morning. So when we had just arrived home, he returned. He was in the car. And he started at that point. It's like, Caleb, Wambus is. But me, in my head, I know we have all been in the garden. You were not around. Even my sisters did not greet you. Why are you only focusing on me? And then he goes and gets a big stick. And I remember we were outside. And then he starts beating me, and everyone is in awe meanwhile at that moment. All my sisters. Because
They are
again,
shocked.
yes, like, weren't we all supposed to greet you? Why did you just focus on this one person? But anyway, the beating went on until we went inside the house. So when we went inside the house, he kept on beating and
So
kept
he's
on
beating you all that time?
Yes. Yeah, so he kept on beating and kept on beating to the point I started calling out for my mom. I'm like, Mommy, Mommy. And my mom, I remember she told me, Muleka kube. The time will come and he will not. She told me, time will come and he will not beat you anymore. And
Sorry.
and he kept beating. I remember in the beating, he starts cursing.
Sorry, God.
Yeah, so I remember he was beating me in that moment. And he started to curse. In Luganda, these words are so heavy. I don't think I can say them. But I can tell what they meant though. Because he said he said you will be poor, you will not be rich. And I think that's when my mom noticed this is a serious thing. And she said, you're going to be rich, you're not going to be poor.
So who was saying that?
My father, yes.
Oh.
He was cursing. Yes, literally. Ogenda kubeera mwavu. And my mom is like, ogenda kubeera mugaga. It's like a battle.
Oh, so your mom would answer
yes.
with a positive
affirmation, yes.
That's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it is. And my dad, he mentioned things beyond that. In Luganda, there are big words. He said, Oja kujera. I don't even know what that clearly means.
Like you'll be so poor.
You know, and my mom is like, ebyo togenda bibera, what. She said a lot. She was also speaking positive things. And then that one also went on for about 10 minutes. This one is saying this, the other one is saying this. In that moment, he's still beating, meanwhile. It's not just a battle of words. And he's like, kankube nkute. Yeah. Because I think also what my mom was telling him was pissing him off. He's like, how can you talk when I am disciplining this child? So he says, he tells my mom, Havana guava igirizo butampa chitiwa. By the way, chitiwa, like at home, had a different meaning. He would just and funny, there was a thing that used to be on the radio. There was a pastor who used to say, "Todamo kusaba ekitiibwa, ekitiibwa bakola kikole." You know those radio things. And he hated it. He's like, ebyo bya mugenda mu seminars, simanyi ne babayigiriza ebyo, ebyobutampa kitiibwa. Njabagana okuddamu ogendayo. Anyway, so as my mom is really affirming positive things about me, he says, agwayigiriza abaana bange obutampa kitiibwa. Kati njogera goli awo ddamu. Kamube mutte wekwate n'embyenda. Yeah, I remember he said that. And now at that point, like the wrath was at its climax. And my mom, I think, noticed this guy will kill my child. And she's like, mukube, mutte, boba gwe yamuzala. I think he kind of relaxed just by just a small bit. And when he was trying to relax, he sees my sister running through the garden. There was a passion fruits garden. He got a panga. And he had a very bad wrath. And
so what was wrong with the passion fruit? Like
he just never wanted anybody there.
Oh.
But again, it was our younger sister there. And it was very,
your last born,
it was very big, yes. So the last born by then. So then he runs after her. So when he runs after her, she runs so far that he doesn't get her. He comes back, he gets into his car, and he drives off. I remember him actually saying, "Nanakuita about defense, wano." Yes, the defense, I guess somebody for the community.
Baba
yes.
Kuvi.
Yeah, it's today when you think about it and laugh. But my sisters and everybody else that had gathered home by the time they were in awe. Trust me, they were like,
They were in shock.
Hey, what's going on? And I remember my mom packing my bags. She packed my clothes and she's like, Caleb, you cannot be here. I'm taking you away from here. Yeah, but I think amidst the thinking and all that, she realized there was nowhere she could take me. I mean, she takes me where now? There was no option. So she tells my big sister to pack her clothes, and she sent us to a certain church in Mutundwe, actually. She told us to be there and pray. Yeah. She told us, that is something that she says a lot. Even today she says it, it's like mwesabire. Yeah, she told us mwesabire. Yeah, and we went to Mutundwe, and so we used to stay there and pray at the church during the day and return.
In the evening?
In the evening, we used to go to our auntie's place. Yes, because she was close. So, I don't know what I prayed in Mutundwe, honestly. I was so perturbed in my head. For me, I guess it was a place that you would say, Caleb, go and think. Because I loved music, I used to enjoy the praise and worship and all that, with the singing, but the rest of the praying, I don't know what I prayed, honestly. That's to be honest. But I was holding on to my mother's faith. I think that's something I've done since then. She would tell you, she told me even in that uglier situation, she's like, mugende musabe, katonda agenda kola something, God will do something. Mugende musabe. And at that moment, me, I didn't believe her. But I didn't also have the energy to focus on it and think about it, how God is going to do this and do that. I was just tired. So we returned home with my sister, and we were going still for another conference. And our dad calls for a meeting again.
A family meeting.
Yes, in the morning when we were about to set off.
So how long did you stay at Mutundwe?
A week.
A week.
Yeah, so after that week, we had another conference to go and attend. So we went. Before going, we had this meeting where he asked us a lot of questions about kumuwa ekitiibwa. Mumulowooza mugenda genda wanga temumpa kitiibwa. How can you live in this world without honoring your father? And he gave a very long lecture about one thing, kitiibwa. I don't know what it was about the respect.
The honor and the respect.
I honestly don't know, because you could do everything, you greet him, but again he will complain about the other smallest thing. You deal with that one, he complains about the other one. Anyway, I remember that time he called out to me in the meeting, and he's like, well, Caleb, gwasinga no utampa kitiibwa, what? Complained. And then he's like, negwe tompa kitiibwa olowooza inayo tata omulala. Olowooza inayo tata omulala wano. And without thinking, I told him yes, but because I knew what I was going to say after.
Yeah.
I didn't think so much about it.
You probably studied him when he said yes.
Definitely. He had this tide that grew, and he's thinking, what is he going to say? And I think he calmed himself a bit, and he said, Annie. And I told him Jesus. And he got angrier. He told me, hey, so Yesu bw'aba taatawo, genda, let Jesus take care of you. Let him do, you are not my son. This is the end. For you and I, Jesus will take care of you. After all, you said, he is your father. Go on. Now, still, even in that moment, I did not think so much about it, honestly. You know, when you give answers to dismiss somebody? Yeah, for me, I think I was just trying to dismiss him and just be like, you know what? Maybe you need to see that I am tired. So that's why, I guess that's why I told him, because I don't remember thinking so much about it, that this man is mistreating me, but Jesus is my father. I always knew Jesus, is there in every situation. But remember, I told you I was holding on to my mother's faith. Whenever she said, Jesus will come through, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess he will. But I never thought about it too much. So that was also a turning point in my life, thinking about it. Yes, so we go for the conference, and then after the conference, we couldn't go back home because the term had started, so we went to school. Now, God is just faithful, and for me, the whole purpose of this story, even as I was thinking about it before actually doing this, it's just God's faithfulness. My mom always tells me, she's the one who named me Mwesigwa. And she always reminds me, even today I called her and she told me, Sigwe Mwesigwa. Katonda ye Mwesigwa. Yes, and you are just a sign. Yeah, my mom always reminds me. She always reminds me, and she's like, you are not the one.
And that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it's God. Isn't he just amazing? Yeah, so she tells me God is the one that's faithful. And the sooner you allow God to use you as a sign of his faithfulness, the better your life will be. Yeah. Even if,
She's right.
yeah.
She's right.
And I believe so. Even looking back at some of those things that we just talked about, I think it's just all a journey of God's faithfulness. God wanted to prove something. But anyway, this is what I'm getting to. When we returned to school in 2016, we find new youth pastors. Now, the school had never had youth pastors. It was also some kind of a missionary school, I guess. Yeah, it had Dutch founders. Yes, so it was like an organization school. It was very nice.
Where in Mukono?
In Mukono, yes.
In Mukono, okay.
Yes, in Mukono. So we find these youth pastors, and right when we had actually just entered the school, we find the youth pastor, and he introduces himself. He says his name, and he talks about himself, and he's like, "What about you guys?" Then we introduce ourselves. I was with my big sister, and he's like, "Oh, you are the Caleb. I've heard about you. You sing." I'm like, "Yes." "You sing in church?" I'm like, "Yes, I am the one." He's like, "Oh, wow, my wife would love to meet you, definitely. She would like to work with young people who sing." I never thought much of it, but I was happy that now we had a youth pastor. Yeah, because it was hard in the school dealing with a big pastor. We had a good pastor, but again, he used to connect so much with the big people.
You could not connect with the youth.
Yeah. So after a week, I meet the youth pastor's wife, and she's like, "Hi, Caleb. I am." She introduces herself, and she tells me, "I want to start up this and that a youth choir, and I would love you to be a part of it because I've heard
That you sing.
that you sing." I'm like, "Yeah." But at the beginning of our conversation, she asked me, "How are you?" Because that's usually the greeting, I think everywhere. "Hey, how are you?"
I usually say, "I'm fine."
Yeah, and usually say I'm fine. And I also just said I am fine. And, I always had a smile. Yeah, it was always there. "I am fine." And she just told me, she's quite candid. She told me, you are not fine, and I can see it." And she told me immediately, "You are not going to go back home. You are going to stay with us in this place."
Interesting.
That did not even excite me in that very moment when she said it, because we were in a rehearsal and one. But when I left the rehearsal and thought about it, I was
I remember
happy.
your dad at home.
I'm telling you, I could not imagine going back to this man. I could not imagine it. My mom would not imagine it. So I call my mother and I tell her, there is this pastors, they've come to our school. And at that time, they were not old. The wife was, I think, the pastor's wife was maybe 25. The pastor
so
was
they
like
were young.
20. Yes. The pastor was like 27. They had a baby. Yeah. So I tell my mom, and definitely she's like, "Hey, aren't you going to be inconveniencing them? What?" She's like, "I'll come and see them." And she came and saw them. And
So when they told you that, had you told them anything?
no. That's what I look back at and think.
So your father, Jesus, was, working things out.
Yeah, I think my biological father had given Jesus the space.
To do his fatherly
Yeah, to do his role. He was probably tying himself on a role.
Yes.
So I guess Jesus is like, okay, then I'll do this. And I've found Jesus to be that every other time. He's just always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just always there. And even even in the challenges that we go through, the moment you are ready to just give the control to him, he's there to take it on. And so Jesus had started really. I had never told these people anything, I'm telling you. They got to know, because even when my mom interacted with them, she told them just a slight bit of it, you know.
So, but now, you know, the term has gone on, and do you finally go back home?
No,
You stay with them?
I stayed with them.
And your dad, does he come looking for you?
He came looking for me now in the other term.
Oh, the second term?
Yeah, in the second term. I stayed with them in first term. I stayed with them in the first term holiday. So in the second term, that's when my dad came and he brought chaos to school. You have stolen my child.
How old were you then?
By then I was 15.
15, okay.
Yes, I was 15. So my mom told me, because she used to come around and just visit and also appreciate these people for staying with me, and she would carry some food. So she would tell me, oyo msajja ne bwalekana atya sirika bwoti. Just keep quiet. Don't say anything. So he came, he brought a lot of chaos to school. Where is Caleb? Aliwa, mwabyo mwana wange, vichi. And I also followed my mom's advice. I kept quiet. I never even went to see him. I just kept quiet. And I remember they sent him, he went to the biggest office of the organization, and they sent him to the pastor's home, the youth pastor's home where I was staying. So he finds the wife, the pastor's wife there. And she welcomed him. She was home. So she welcomed him and she had a conversation with him, and she told him, Caleb now stays here, actually. By then I had not even told them anything about my dad disowning me and saying I'm not his child. They did not know. They did. Trust me, I never told them any details. I was just in this mood of, let me stay in the comfort that has come my way.
Finally, the Lord has opened that door.
Yes. So I just stayed there. I never told anybody anything, even though they kind of knew, because they were at least bigger than me to tell. They knew that things were not okay, and my mom had a mild conversation with them. But so he came and she told him, you know what, I can't be staying here unless you want to talk to him and, you know, have some.
Like he's available if you want to talk to
him. He's available, but to take him away, I'm sorry, you cannot do that. Because his mother has also agreed that he stays here. But again, I also feel like he's my responsibility. That's what she told him. And yeah, he left. I thank God for that woman.
We thank God, because he would have, that was also God.
Yeah, that was also God. He would have caused a lot of chaos that would probably have got these people to lose their job in an organization like that.
Or to even get tired and say, you know what, take your son.
Yeah. So I also thank God for that. Now, I thank God for the fact that the moment my dad just left all his responsibilities to Jesus, Jesus has worked tirelessly to this very day. Tirelessly, trust me. He has never stopped showing up. And so that year went by and I was staying with those people. The following year is when I decided to give my life to Christ. Oh, yes. Amen. That was 2017, January.
Senior 3.
Yes, in senior 4.
In senior
2016, 4. I was in senior 3. So in senior 4, yeah, is when I decided to give my life to Christ. And that's when I actually made the choice to serve God. I was serving, but I usually tell people I find it that I was not serving. I think I happened to be in church singing. And I tell people a lot, please don't happen to be in places. Be there with a purpose.
But you know, God was also working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And he was using your time in church, even when you're not even when you had not yet accepted him, he knew, he was working on your heart slowly, slowly.
Surely. It surely was. I remember my mom used to tease me a bit, and she's like, but with all these things that are going on in your life, you haven't given your life to Christ. How will you manage? And I kept on just thinking about it. Of course, now growing up in a pastor's home, I was thinking still, to live locally, like many children think today.
Yeah, I come from a born-again family.
Yeah, I come from a born-again family.
Okay, so now you're in senior 4. Yeah, so what happens?
So now I am in senior 4. I've given my life to Christ. I've decided to serve. Now senior 4 is the year that I think the the repercussions of what I had been through came. Senior 4, 2017 was the year I was the most bitter. I was so bitter. I was so indisciplined, not breaking windows, but because of what I had been through, I had chosen to be quiet. That's one. But again, you don't want to deal with a quiet, indisciplined person.
Yes, yeah.
Because you don't know what they are up to. So that was me. I was so bitter. I was so quiet. But again, I had opportunities to serve. I don't know, maybe because I made that decision, the opportunities always came. Yeah, so senior 4 was also a roller coaster. I didn't care. I remember in senior 4 is when I dropped history in the very first term. Even in UNEB, I sat and just didn't do anything. Chemistry, anything that stressed me, I did not want to know about it. Yeah, but again in senior 5 is when I started. Now remember in senior 4 I made the decision to serve God. But in senior 5 is when I also started to think so much about it and pay attention to it. I used to lead worship, and my aunt, now I call her my aunt, the pastor's wife that took me on, that family. My aunt used to tell me, Caleb, in your worship, I feel so much that you are struggling. I know what you've been through, but even now, I feel so much that you are struggling, and your worship is just, for me, I feel like it is just going down like this. Even when you're leading people, your life generally is also filled with bitterness. And that's when she told me about forgiving my dad. It was not easy. Every time she would bring it up, I would cry. Because then my dad was also not stopping all this chaos that he was doing. He was still doing chaos at home.
Yeah.
When I was away, my mom used to call me and tell me, now he's done this, he's done that, he's done this, he's not stopped. So every time she would tell me to forgive him, I would cry. I would cry so much. Sometimes I would wake up in the night and just to pray and just cry. But yeah, that is the time that also I feel God gave me the grace, by also grace through the people that were around me. My aunt, majorly, she did a major role. She never was afraid to tell me that forgiveness is going to take me to hell. Unforgiveness. If you don't forgive him, you're going to go to hell. So God gave me the grace to forgive him, and I think it was also a process. I started slowly by slowly. Yeah, letting go of this and that, all the things he had done. I've got to a much better place. When I went to senior 5 was almost done. That is when the school could not allow us anymore. Now, there is a lot of chaos that happened there. It's so long, but the school could not have us anymore because there was an outstanding balance. My sisters could not go there anymore, and that's when our dad officially took on another wife. Oh. Yes. So I think he needed to show that he has no other responsibilities. So my sisters who were in Form 2, my younger sisters, could not continue the third term. They had to sit home. And the same thing happened to me. Now for me, it was even another bigger story of how he signed me to the organization, that I'm not his child. So I remember my mom telling me, I don't know if it was her or somebody, but someone said, who disowns their child twice? He had already said, you're not my child. But again, now,
He comes to the organization and
he
signs you
yes, as
off like,
the other man's child.
oh.
Yeah. And the man kept on looking for me. Ah, Anyway, so for me, that was the other reason I couldn't go back to that school. But a miracle happened. Yeah. A miracle happened, and we got bursaries in a school.
Your father, Jesus, was still working.
I am telling you, and he was just taking care of his children.
That's good.
So we got bursaries in this school, and so we had to repeat our classes. But again, it was an opportunity to study, and our mom loved us to study so much. Said, we shall do everything just so you can study, and if this opportunity has come up, you need to take it. Don't give up. So I studied senior 5, senior 6,
Senior
and
6
it was
on bursary.
Yes, and it
Oh,
was
thank
just
God.
God showing up. My mother never had to struggle with pocket money. People ate posho at school. Me, I did not
So
eat
you guys,
posho.
you were loaded. That's a
I did
good
not
thing.
eat posho. The school could pay my food. The school paid my food. I remember it was the deputy that would pay my food. So I used to eat rice and like a planned kid. Like they say these days.
Planned children.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but our Father Jesus planned for us, really.
Surely. Surely. So even after Form 6, I remember I was supposed to fill in, they're called job forms, and I did not. I was so hurt. That's another like season of my life. I was so hurt because I had this confidence. I'm like, God is going to show up in my results. I had the confidence, but I did not fill in the job forms. And the results came back and they were good. I was the best in the whole school.
Wow.
But I had not filled in the job forms. My mom is like, whatever is chasing after us is just crazy. Yeah, so after I missed my slot for applying, I went into working.
Oh, you found a job.
Yeah, I found a job, and then I was training schools, music. At some point, I taught English in primary school. At some point, I was a bursar in a certain school. And then that's when the government advertised vacancies on government scholarship.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And yes. So, yeah, my story is very long. Yes, but when the government advertised vacancies, I applied again. This time around, I applied just so I can not let an opportunity slide out of my hands, but I was not so serious about it. And I got the scholarship.
Wow.
Yes, I got the scholarship.
Your father, Jesus.
My father, Jesus, at the end of the day,
He
Tasha
opened
Cobb
that
sang
door.
a song and said, at the end of the day, he loves me.
Yes.
Let all that happen, but at the end of the day,
God loves us.
God loves us, and He's loved me to this to this day. Yes, and now I am at campus. I studied drama and film. Yeah, I love it.
Which are you in first year?
I'm in my second year now.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Caleb, what an amazing story.
We bless the Lord.
Yes, I would love to know, did you finally forgive your father?
Oh yes, surely. My father, I got, like I told you, it was a process, and there was times when I could not talk to him on phone, and then time came and I talked to him on phone. Time came and I could meet him. Time came and I could hug him. Time came and we could have a conversation. Today, my friends, when I'm talking with my father on phone, they think, who is that person you're talking to? It seems you people are tight. Just because the way we talk
The
is
conversation
just,
flows. Eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
It flows well.
Wow. That's so amazing. So right now when you meet him, how does he behave? Does he recognize you?
He's very lovely. He does not address me by any other thing but my son. He's like my son, with wide open arms, and he's giving you a hug, and he's very confident, and it's just amazing.